The Intermediate Base Building Guide. This is an extension of my base building basics. Great for defense, but you can reverse engineer the tips we are about to give to make you a better attacker. Welcome back to the channel then, guys. I'm your host, Judo Sloth. Super excited for this one. I have video chapters as ever, so you can skip ahead or review any section you wish. And if you did not see my base building basics guide, I will link you to that at the end because these videos go hand in hand. First, let's talk about dead zones. These can include a couple of things. Firstly, non-defensive buildings, such as storages. As a side note, storages have high hit points. It means they can absorb more fire from troops as defenses are doing the damage. Dead zones also include empty wall areas. So the idea of using the storages and empty wall areas is that you can control your enemy's troop pathing, such as hog riders or balloons, by tracking them around the dead zones. Obviously, this is a small example so that it's easier for you to understand, but this would happen throughout your base. And when you do this, it means that the defenses are spread evenly, so you don't have a dense area of defenses. This is mainly because of spell usage. They know that if they use a heal spell or a haste spell in this area, they are going to get big value. Not only that, if your defenses are too clumped together, the opponent knows that there are no traps or Tesla. Now that you understand the concept of this, you use the dead zones for pathing around your key defenses. So at higher level, the multi-target Inferno, the scatter shots, the Eagle. At lower town hall levels, you're trying to keep your enemy troops away from wizard towers or mortars. That is why we have this defensive ring around the dead zone, so we can control the defensive troop pathing around the key defenses. But let's show you a poor example. By the way, if you are enjoying this video, I like to bring educational but entertaining Clash of Clans videos, so if that's the type of content you want to see, I would recommend subscribing and turning on the notification bell. Notice that there is no dead zone here. It is just one thick area of defenses, and you might think that's a good thing. You get a lot of DPS. But it means the pathing and spell value is massive for your opponent. Because let's say hog riders, for example, are deployed from the northwest side. It is easy to see that they will just track straight through the base to the key defenses. And just think if one heal spell were used in this area. You are giving up huge value. If you're designing your bases, it's not what you want. An easy fix to this, which offers many advantages, is adding the dead zone. Storages, maybe the clan castle. Now, if defense targeting troops are used, they will split across the different areas. You're also neutralizing big spell value. And let's say dragons or miners are deployed. You have high HP buildings to absorb the fire whilst your defenses do their job. And you also have more defenses for elsewhere in the base. Before we move to the next section of the video, let's show you a full example of the dead zone, because here we have the multi-target Inferno, and the aim is to split the hybrid around it. This means that spell usage is not as effective. One thing I have hinted towards but not really mentioned clearly is you do have to consider how you create the dead zone. So for example, if we used storages to create the dead zone, yes, we would force hog riders around, but miners would still be drawn into the multi-target Inferno. So you do have to consider the fact that the storage method will still absorb fire, but miners and dragons would still be drawn into that area. You have to get a balance across your base depending on what you're trying to achieve. A massive shout out to RH Base Building. You know that I bring you the base building videos alongside them. We have brought you the best clan castle troops for every level, as well as the base building basics guide. And if you do want to purchase the best custom built bases, the RH Base Building server is in the description, and also they do have a YouTube channel which is linked down there as well. But here comes the hybrid, and let's check out what happens with the dead zone. Heal spell already used early on with the multi-target Inferno locked on, but notice that because of the dead zone, some of the miners are drawn up top and some are drawn down to the bottom. Now the Royal Champion eventually gets into the multi-target Inferno, but because the troops have split, we haven't been able to have the DPS moving through each area of the base, and also spell usage is split across the base as well, so effectively it has still done its job. This is done in a variety of ways. Notice the dead zone around the scatter shot utilizing storages. This forces the lava loon around the base. They don't have clear access to the scatter shot, and if it is a splash damage in the dead zone, you can use tornado traps, red air bombs to wipe out a lava loon attack with devastating effect. Dead zones are just one way of controlling troop pathing. We also have channels and moats. Moats are these wall compartments you see on the outside of a base. These are to make funneling difficult. Now, in the base building basics guide, we did talk about using non-defensive buildings to make funneling difficult, but the idea of a moat is that a queen is pushed to the outside of the base if you were trying to charge. It's very difficult to force the queen straight into the base. A perfect example of a moat in action. The archer queen cannot get to the scatter shot easily unless extensive funneling takes place, which burns troop capacity, or a jump spell is used, because the wall prevents the queen from walking to the scatter shot. And I will be talking later on in the video about gaps in walls in order to prevent wall breakers easily giving you access, so the archer queen is forced around the outside. Channels are the other way that you as a defender can try and snatch control of your opponent's troops. They do have a disadvantage that I will tell you about in a moment, but you can clearly see that through the middle of the base we have this line or channel that if troops were drawn into it, they would not attack certain areas of the base, but even as the troops attack from the opposite direction, it forces these super witches to split. Left and right, they do not get drawn straight down over, they actually move in different directions through this channel. Great for defending smash style attacks then, but they should not be easily accessible to a queen charge. Because if the archer queen can get into the channel, not only does she get good value, but it also splits the base in half, giving ideal pathing for a hybrid or Lalo style attack. We also need to discuss holes that you purposely leave within the walls. This became a thing following the introduction of the super wall breaker. Prior to this, people would have small bombs on the outside of their base to try and take out wall breakers so you couldn't get access into the base. You would be right to raise the question, well, can't the archer queen now just walk into the compartment? There is a way to get around that with base building, as you see here. I'll explain that in a moment, but in my troop AI video, I did explain the wall breaker alongside all of the other troops and how it is drawn into the base when you have this gap. Essentially, the archer queen continues to walk around. You would have to force the wall breaker to go down in this area to increase the gap within the wall, which is not always the easiest to do. Again, massive shout out to RH Base Building. Please show them some love in the comments. All of the links you need to know for them are in the pinned comment as well. They set up these little base designs, make it easy for me to explain what's going on. But for this first example, notice that there is a 1 tile gap after the first defense before the storages. This means that once the archer queen takes down the first storage, she's actually in range to go to the next storage. And once that storage goes down, then because of her positioning, she just walks straight up towards the Inferno Tower, which is obviously not what you want from a base building perspective. What is important and why the archer queen continued to walk around the base in the previous example when I was discussing the wall breakers, you can always rewind if you want to analyze that yourself, but it's that there is a 2 tile gap in between the upper buildings. This means that the archer queen has to take a couple of extra steps in order to be in reach of the building, and it then forces her to the outside. This is where, as an attacker, this video also helps because you now understand this when you're planning your attacks. And you might be asking, well, the archer queen has walked back. Yes, but because of her positioning, she's walked around again. She is not drawn into the Inferno. So a 2 tile gap is required. If you want to see the base building basics video, which led up to this one, I have it linked here. RH puts so much work in the background of these videos, I can't thank them enough. If the advanced version is live, I will also link it here. but the subscribe button is there in the meantime. You guys take care, enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you in the next video.